All right, hello, hi, welcome. My name's Becca, and I've been wanting to start this channel for a while, and I haven't for a few reasons, which I'm going to get into right now. But basically, welcome. This is Wellness Made Simple, and I have, again, like I said, been wanting to do this for a long time. The biggest thing that has been hanging me up, and the reason I haven't really started so far, is because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I didn't want to start recording until I knew I could do it perfectly and look perfectly and act perfectly and have a script and all the things. And I was like, you know what? Part of the message I'm going to have for this channel is that you show up and you put in the work and you have a goal and you go for it and good things happen, not to say that you shouldn't try to prepare and do things well, because I'm definitely a big believer if you're going to do something, try and do it well. But it was to the point where it was handicapping me. So you know what? This is me just deciding I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to jump on it and we're going to do this. So again, my channel name is Wellness Made Simple. And the reason for that name is just kind of where I come from, my background, and what I want to do, what my hopes are with this channel going forward. So a little information about me so you know who I am. My name's Becca, again. I'm an emergency medicine physician. I've been practicing for about a decade, and I love the ER. Loved it. I did love it. I had to take a break. It was crazy, as you can imagine. Lots of high acuity, lots of stress every day. Which I knew going in, I knew signing up for it, it was going to be like that. But once I had kids, I desperately needed a little change of pace. And so I currently practice in an urgent care setting, which has afforded me the change that I needed. I really needed to have less acuity in the place where I work, and that has allowed me more ability to heal myself from a mental health standpoint, allow myself to take more of my time and energy that I was being completely consumed every day by my job, and actually have something left for my kids and for my family. And not only that, now I have a lot for them, not just a little bit left. I have a lot, and that was the goal. And another cool thing about urgent care is it has afforded me the time to be able to have more in-depth wellness conversations with patients who are interested in that, like people who are having recurrent joint health problems or recurrent gut health problems. And I've seen them a few times for these things. And, like, hey, I don't want to just keep taking pills. I don't want to just do something to mask the pain. I want to try to fix the problem. And, a lot of people do want to take a pill or have a surgery, and that's going to make it better. But, I find more and more people now are not okay with that idea. They want to put in work. They want to get to the root cause. They want to change themselves in a way that's going to make this problem either better or even go away. And so it's nice. I get a chance to actually sit down and have some of these conversations with people at work now, or patients rather, where I didn't have the time to do that before. And so that's another kind of side benefit that I wasn't really expecting, but it's been enjoyable for sure. So I have notes. So sorry. Again, this is me not being perfect and not memorizing. And so I'm going to have notes. Okay. So yeah, that's part of who I am. Oh, and who else am I? I mentioned it. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I have 2 boys that are very active, very crazy, keep me very busy. And I have a husband who has very high career aspirations and is, I love him so much. He's very busy and he's traveling a lot. He actually just left and went out of town. But he's doing what he wants to do. I'm supporting him. He's supporting me. It's great. I would like to see him a little more, but that's how it is. And then in terms of my athletic side, so I grew up playing soccer. I played my whole childhood. I played into college. I played on the club team at the college I went to. And, after that, that was like my identity as an athlete was I am a soccer player. And then when I got into medical school, all of that really took a back burner because I had to focus on school and my rotations and things like that. So, I became a gym rat at that point. I would go to my campus gym on my lunch break. I had one of my girlfriends that was there that she and I did lunchtime yoga every day, and then we would go rush back to class and eat our lunch in our class right after yoga. That was our mental health break. That was our movement and stretch break. And then afterwards, I would go back and do weightlifting and cardio and things like that. And that was my first kind of foray into the whole, for lack of a better word, Globo gym or commercial gym experience. And it was great. It had helped me get through med school. It forced me to structure my day in a way that this was non-negotiable. This was not something I could cut. I will, in retrospect, I'm sure I did on occasion cut it when I had a big test or a lab or something I had to do, where if I didn't do it, I was going to have negative consequences in school. I'm sure I did. But for the most part, I was very diligent about it. And, I think that helped me a lot from a mental health sanity standpoint while I was in school. So that definitely translated over into residency, which was extremely busy. And my husband actually found the CrossFit gym first that I ended up joining when I was in my emergency medicine residency. And he was like, I think you would really like this. You should try it. And so I went and I was hooked. And even though I was a soccer player forever, I really did not do much in the way of weight training or lifting. I was a goalie, so there was definitely some upper body requirements, but I couldn't do pull-ups, push-ups, anything like that. So that first workout was humbling. Very humbling. I had to do push-ups on my knees. I couldn't do a pull-up. It took me, a very long time before I could do any of those kind of movements without some sort of assistance or scale. And still to this day, push-ups are things, it's one of my weaknesses that I try to work on, but it's still one of my weaker movements. And my point is, though, that I came into CrossFit with very little experience, and it quickly became something that I loved. And I realized this is very challenging. This is all stuff I have no idea how to do, so I'm going to get better at it. And so now I've been doing it for almost 15 years, and I try to go 4 to 6 days a week or whatever the schedule allows. Sometimes I meet those numbers. Sometimes I don't. I try to get in workouts at home or, at the baseball field during games or practices, or not games. I like to watch the games, but practices, if I can, I get them in. But it doesn't always happen because it's life. Life is busy when you have kids, especially. They have to come first. And I do prioritize myself and sometimes, and that's what we're going to talk about here as well. So a little bit more, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I do love constantly having new goals, constantly finding new things that you're trying to achieve and different ways to better yourself. Because if you don't create new goals for yourself, you're not going to grow as a person, whether that's as an athlete, as an individual, as a couple, as a mom, as a friend. If you don't set new goalposts for yourself, you're not going to move anywhere. You're not going to grow. You're going to stay stagnant. And I think that all of us should want to better ourselves in some way. And you can pick whatever that way is, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to get better at your workouts, whether you want to be a better at taking care of yourself because you put people first too much of the time. You need to learn how to put your spouse first sometimes. There's always room for improvement. Nobody is perfect. And again, that harkens back to what I said at the beginning here. I am not perfect. Nobody is perfect. If we all try to wait for perfection before we do something, or we think we're perfect, we are deluding ourselves. So let's get out there and figure out how we can make ourselves better. So think about that. But I'm going to get down to a couple things here of why all this matters to me, why I want to do this channel, what you can expect from me. Again, I'm using my notes because I'm not perfect. But I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed with things like working out, with setting these new goals or projects, or you have things going on with your kids or with your spouse or things at your house, okay? I know what it is like because I'm in it. I got 2 young kids. I got a husband. I work a full-time job. My husband works a full-time job. Our hours are crazy. We want to be there for all the things for the kids. We want to be there for all the trips and all the events. And, most of the time we can make it happen. And generally one of us is always there, which is amazing. But sometimes it still doesn't work out. So the juggle is real. I get it. And I know what it's like to have a lot on your plate, but still want to keep improving. So, I want to do that together. And so I have a little bit of a backstory of why this matters to me, or kind of my first introduction to food and how that can really play a part in your health. So I know that seems kind of basic, what you eat matters, but a couple things I want to hit on is, as a physician, I got 0 nutrition classes in med school. Anything I know about nutrition, I knew before, and also after, just from my own knowledge, my own reading, my own study. Okay. When I was in middle school, my dad got hospitalized for atrial fib. And I remember this because we went to visit him on the cardiac unit when that happened. And he told me later in life, at that moment, that was a huge wake-up call for him, because he was 41, which is the same age I am right now. He was overweight. He had rheumatoid arthritis. He was already on some medications for that, but his rheumatologist had just told him he wants him to go on methotrexate, which is an immunosuppressant, basically chemotherapy type drug. That's one of the uses for it, but it suppresses your immune system. There's a ton of side effects. And then this AFib thing happened. So he was the youngest on the cardiac floor by decades. And that was a huge wake-up call for him. Like, wow, I've got 2 young kids. What am I doing? I got to wake up. I got to make some changes. So he did a lot of research on his own, and he found something called the zone diet, which you might know about that, you might not. It's basically clean eating. The idea that you're not eating food that's going to spike your insulin levels, because when you spike your insulin, you store fat. That's kind of like the very basic idea behind the zone diet, but that's what he did. He's also kind of an all or nothing guy. Like, he wasn't like, I'm going to phase all these things out and gradually add all these other things in and change what I'm doing. No, he was like, today, this stops, this starts, and this is my life now. That's just the kind of guy he is. And so I watched that in middle school. I watched him, and my mom's the cook in our house growing up. She still is now. And she completely changed how she cooked. So instead of pasta, we had cauliflower and broccoli as our base for whatever pasta meal we would have normally had. So we had broccoli and cauliflower with tomato sauce and a meat sauce and other things. And, instead of, she still gave us ice cream because we were kids and blah, blah, blah. But my dad didn't eat that. He ate healthy, so he ate nuts. The background for the zone diet is it's essentially whole foods. So meats, fish, veggies, minimal fruit. You got to be careful with the fruit in terms of what's spiking your insulin. Nuts. If it's processed, if it has sugar, it's out. And so I watched him do that. He lost like 40 pounds in 2 months. All of his rheumatoid arthritis symptoms went away. He has a couple other autoimmune diseases. All of those symptoms went away. He felt great. He started going to the gym. He started lifting weights. This became the thing he would do before work or after work or on the weekends. And at first it was like a big shift for our household, but then it just became normal. And I really attributed a lot of my success as an athlete as I got older to how I was fueling at home. I mean, in retrospect, I see how my diet and my lifestyle changed because of that, because we were eating that way as a household. So I think that had a lot to do with how I developed later as an athlete as well. But then it for sure shaped how I viewed food going forward, in terms of how it fuels us, how it affects your body, what's it doing to our genetic makeup, how is it affecting disease processes in our body. So I had all of that in my brain when I went into medical school. And even though I never learned about any of that in medical school, it was there when I was learning about biochemistry and I was learning about pharmacology and all those things. Like it was just already, it was part of my knowledge that I was integrating this new information into. So it was very helpful for me to have that background. I think it gave me a little bit of a different perspective than some other people. And, going forward, I've learned a lot more since. There's so much information out there, and it was very overwhelming. But the main thing I came away with is, like, we have a lot more control over our bodies and how they function than we like to think we do, or than we're told we do. 80% of your health, your nutrition comes from the kitchen. You can work out 7 days a week, 2 hours a day, whatever. If you're not eating right, you're not fueling your body right, it doesn't matter. You're not going to grow those muscles. You're not going to hit those goals. You're not going to run those distances. You're not going to lose that weight if you're not fueling your body the way it needs to be fueled. So that really set up a good framework for me as a physician, but then also as an athlete and just as a human living in this world with all this crazy food that's getting thrown at us all the time. It really helped me figure out what choices to make when I was a grown adult out in the real world making my own decisions about food. And then now that I'm a mom too, like the kind of food that I want to feed my kids. And the way I want them to hopefully approach food and view food in the future too. Again, I'm not trying to give anyone a complex, but I just think it's real important for us to consider these sorts of things. All right, so I'm going to move on just a little bit in the interest of keeping things not too long here. Okay, so I'm going to go down. What can you expect here? Okay, I'm going to go a quick rundown. We're going to be done here in just a minute. I'm sorry, my hair keeps getting stuck in my lip gloss. Blech. Okay. So we're going to do a lot of talk about fitness and health. We're going to do practical tips, things that are doable, science-backed, and things that are quick that you can implement. Sometimes things that you don't necessarily have to go to a gym, but being at home, things that you can change in your everyday life that will have an impact. Nutrition made simple. Okay, not complicated or overwhelming. I gave away the biggest thing already, which is eat real food, but we're going to dig into that more for sure. Mental health and personal growth. Okay, so mindset, stress, resilience. I personally had my own journey with postpartum depression and anxiety after my second baby. I was incredibly depressed to the point that I almost had to be hospitalized. It was bad. And the anxiety, and I have a very loving, supportive spouse and family, and they made sure I got the help I needed, and I was able to, I did a lot of things. That's part of why I changed my career. I saw a psychiatrist, I saw a therapist, I took medication for a little while. I'm off all that now, but I understand. I get it. I've been there too. So we're going to talk about that kind of stuff too. We're going to talk about relationships and real life balance, marriage, spouses, motherhood, friendships, kids, all that stuff. And then productivity, time management, how to actually make wellness fit into your everyday life when you've got all these other million things going on. Okay, we're going to talk about all that. And then, I want you to come with me. Let's do this together. I'm struggling every day to get up and do these things. I want to hit the snooze button. I don't want to get up and work out before I go to work at 8 a.m. But if I don't do it, then it's not going to happen. And if I don't do it for 3-4 days in a row, if I'm working that 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift I'm working, that's 4 days in a row that I don't work out. And then I turn into a grouchy human. And then I'm a bad mom and a bad wife. So figuring out how to work these things in, figuring out when is it worth it to sacrifice that hour of sleep to get that workout in before you have to go to work? When is it not worth doing that? When should you really listen to your body about how much sleep or recovery you need and not push yourself to do those things? Just because you can get up at 4:30 and work out every day doesn't mean you should. Maybe some days you don't need to do that. So we're going to talk about all that. And I would love for you to come along with me on this journey. This isn't just about me. This is about us figuring it out and figuring out how to thrive in the middle of real life. So I hope you'll join me. I hope you come back. I hope you subscribe. I don't know how often videos are going to come out. My goal is that there's going to be a video a week, but I don't know. Real life's going to happen, and that's probably not going to always be the case. But I hope so. I hope I'm putting out content frequently. If not, please leave comments on here. I have a Facebook group called the same as the YouTube channel here, Wellness Made Simple. So if you're on Facebook, request to join and I will let you in. And it's a nice little community where we can talk about these things. I post I haven't done a lot yet. I've posted a couple things, but quick tips, things you can implement every day, things to think about every day. I'm not gonna post every day, but things that you can think about every day. And I would love for you to come join this community and leave tips or leave your own stories in there. Leave comments, requests, anything you want me to talk about. Definitely, don't hesitate. I would love to make content that you would find valuable. And if I have some guidance from you, then that will help me do just that. So, anyway, we're going to make wellness simple together, and I hope that you come along with me for this ride. All right. Hopefully I see you soon. Bye.